Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and welcome. I'm very pleased to be joined by Oriol and Margó. Oriol is a sustainability transformation leader at Kimberly-Clark. So welcome, Oriol.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone.
So I think we first heard from you, or certainly heard from Kimberly-Clark and the business at World Hydrogen Congress last year, and you were obviously taking part in a panel debate looking at the offtake agreement. You're speaking again at the Milan event where we have our World Hydrogen and Renewables Italian event, which will be at the beginning of May. So yeah, could you give us a little bit background to Kimberly-Clark? People may not be familiar with the size and scale of the business, and also really your role around sustainability and trying to reduce the footprint and the emissions in your own industrial processes.
Yeah, of course. So I'm basically, as you mentioned, sustainability transformation leader for Kimberly-Clark in Europe, Middle East, and Africa. We have about 20 facilities, production facilities that make products of brands like Andrex, Kleenex, Huggies, Scottex, and others. Also business to business, Kimberly-Clark Professional, where we make tissue and soap for public places, and as well as wipes for industrial, facilities.
Yeah.
So our process is quite intensive in terms of energy. The team I'm managing is looking at sustainability for in all the areas, not only on the energy and climate footprint program, but we also look after plastic footprint, water footprint, as well as social impact and fiber footprint, so all of them.
Yeah, pretty extensive role. I mean, in terms of looking at, I guess, the energy footprint and emissions specifically, obviously, hydrogen is at early days, and it was good, obviously, to see you engaged and looking at the market. Is this something you're actively pursuing now? Have you got some trials? What is your state, and also what is some of the detail around the process? I assume it's you burn methane to create heat to dry at some point in the process of creating the tissue products.
Yeah, so basically, the area of our business that is more energy intensive is the tissue business, to make tissues or toilet tissue. And of course, we use a lot of energy to dry the wet tissue as it's being manufactured. And that happens through making a lot of steam as well as very hot air. We use a lot of natural gas to do that. And we are looking, of course, as many of our peer companies, to decarbonise, and it's not easy for us. I mean, in fact, our factories consume a lot of electricity and gas. But in terms of electricity, I think I would say it's a bit simpler. I mean, it's not easy, but it's simpler in the sense that we know what needs to be done. We need to attempt to deploy renewables, and we are actually working on deploying renewables on site, leveraging our roofs.
Yeah.
And then that's not enough, of course. And then we are looking at power purchase agreements off site. Like in November 21, we signed the power purchase agreement with Octopus Renewables in the UK. Yeah. Which basically we have been working on delivering the project. The construction of the project, in fact, is actually going into commercial operations in the next few days. And we are doing similar in Europe. When it comes to natural gas decarbonization, it's more complicated, especially because of the scale, the amount of gas we use is significant, and I'm not sure we can rely on a single source to decarbonize. I mean, we are not pursuing hydrogen as the solution. We see hydrogen as one of the solutions, because I think the solution might be a combination potentially. And things like, of course, electrification of our processes, hydrogen, biomethane, these are all possible solutions, even synthetic gas.
Yeah.
However, I think that there are challenges in all of them. and hydrogen is where we're really looking, and we do have some work being done in the UK as we speak. So
excellent. And in terms of you mentioned 25 facilities, so some of those drying facilities are, I guess, located in Europe, or are more of them located near the pulp, or where the pulp's produced? I mean, is whereabouts is that value chain, and do you see the facilities changing to get to cheaper energy, or you think the cost of, or the location of those plants is fine, and it's just about decarbonising those plants?
Yeah, I think location-wise, we are a global company and we have global implementation. We have locations, facilities in many countries in the world. So I think we have facilities in Europe. Some of them are also in Middle East and Africa. We are in Nigeria, South Africa, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, and other places. So I think the most challenges, we are focusing on decarbonizing the facilities. Of course, there is a bigger momentum in Europe. Europe, I think, is one of the regions where the conditions are best to accelerate this decarbonization, because it's where I think consumers are quite civilized about sustainability needs, and there is governments are keen to push sustainability. Regulatory framework is changing. There are support grants to accelerate. So that's where we are trying to. It's basically some of the European countries, in particular the UK, is acting as an incubator for some of the technologies like hydrogen.
Yeah.
But we are looking at all the other places. It's not easy though. If I take the example of decarbonizing electricity, we are able to do off-site power purchase agreements and contract for differences in Europe, but then in Middle East and Africa countries, regulatory frameworks are different. It's a little bit more complicated. So.
Yeah. And in terms of, you mentioned the UK a couple of times. As we have a lot of locations, and you're actually trialing hydrogen, or is there some demo happening, or what is?
Yeah, well, so we have a project, and it can be seen. We issued a press release a few months ago. It's in Barrow-in-Furness, where we partner with a developer of renewable energy, which is called Carlton Power. And basically, we're working with Carlton Power to develop a 30-megawatt electrolyzer that would be installed next to our site, literally 400 meters, with a private pipe. The project itself is trying to encourage bringing hydrogen into Cumbria region, and so it has potential for growth. But we understand that as a Kimberly-Clark, being such a large potential of taker, have a potential for supporting these projects to start up. And we are acting as an anchor to try to get this project up and running. And so the project is dependent on support grants from government, because as we know, hydrogen is more expensive. We need to find a commercial model. Hopefully by bringing scale, prices will start to go down. But for pioneering companies, the price is very high, and it's not something that we can do on our own. We are partnering with a local regional business, with the council, with the grid, and also hopefully with the government, if we can get the support grants under the contract for differences that the UK government is launched under the hydrogen business model.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see what happens. So we don't know. In fact, it will be announced within, they say, the end of quarter 1, which means in the next 2 days. But
right, okay, yeah, excellent. We'll look out for the notice. Obviously, you're speaking in Milan, and you've got facilities here in Italy. That you're looking to sign sort of PPAs, or how is it in the Italian side?
Yes. Yeah, so we have in the other facilities. So we are trying to we're rolling out the power purchase agreements in Europe, and that means we're looking at deploying renewables on site and off site. In fact, our facility in Italy, in Romagnano, Sesia, already have 1 megawatt solar roof. But we're looking for totally decarbonizing our operations, and so we're looking at additional renewable electricity. We're looking at several options, not only for this factory but some of the other ones as well. So
you can also have a private pipe, as it were, a private line now with some of the new legislation. So I think for a field that's within, say, 10 kilometers of the plant, you can use that sort of system. But I'm sure you'll learn more in Milan, and meet all the relevant people and experts who can explain more about how the landscape's changing, and certainly getting easier from a sort of planning perspective. So yeah, it'll be interesting for you to be there, and we look forward to you taking part and helping Kimberly-Clark decarbonize, so that we can all have our 100% emission-free toilet paper. I think is the goal, very important goal. So hey, thanks Oriol for taking the time to speak to us, and I look forward to seeing you in Milan.
Thank you very much, Nadim.
Take care.
Bye.